You ready for me to be like an old man? I mean, I know I'm still in my 20s, and I do look dashing and young and vibrant and full of life, but just put that aside for a second. I'm going to be very old man-esque. I'm going to yell at clouds, a la the Simpsons meme. I'm going to be sitting on my porch in a rocking chair, smoking a pipe, watching a kid kick a ball into my front yard and standing up and giving him the business, giving him the who's and what's for. I don't even know if that made any sense, but I've got a beef. I've got something that's bothered me for a long time. And I want to be clear, I've got no problem with this Twitter account, Center Goals. I'm not overly familiar with it, but I feel like I've come across them before when I'm just scrolling through the internet. I don't think there's anything wrong with them. Right, but I do think there is an issue with the way that the internet has created this idea of like most respectful football comps or whatever. Right. That whole concept has bothered me. I feel like more and more of the stuff that players are doing is kind of performative, or at least just doesn't make a lot of sense to me, right? Because I'm the angry man yelling at the cloud here. You could totally disagree with me, but I think what I'm about to say is going to make a lot of sense, okay? So this Center Goals account tweeted out, Jude Bellingham made sure to avoid stepping on the Manchester City badge as a gesture of respect. So here's the video. There's Jude Bellingham. He swerves the badge, and he's going out, I guess, in his street clothes just to take a look at the stadium, take a look at the field. We're going to come flying in from the top rope here. Who gives a shit? I don't care, right? And I understand that the point of the internet is you put stuff out and people care about it, then you get stuff back. And Center Goals is clearly a successful account. And 3,500 people liked this tweet, right? So, and this is not the first time I've seen this. You just see this stuff with like Ronaldo or whatever, where they're always dodging the badge on the floor. So I'm going to change it from why do I care? Because it's not, clearly some people do care, to why does it matter? Right? Now, the badge is on the ground. It's like a rug. They put the badge in the rug. If you didn't want people to ever step on your badge, don't put it on the ground. Like if the badge is on the wall and you take your cleats, right, and you just go, and you just like destroy the badge on the wall, yeah, that would probably be a little disrespectful, right? But if it is on the rug, on the ground, like, where are you supposed to walk? The vast majority of them made the conscious decision to put it on the ground. What, they just wanted to make every player on every other team tiptoe against the wall in order to get out of the frigging tunnel? No, they just thought it looked cool. So they put the badge on the ground on the rug, and then there you go. It kind of welcomes you out to the stadium. But if they didn't want you to walk on it, they wouldn't put it on the ground. Nobody actually cares about, who actually cares about, if Jude Bellingham had walked straight across this badge outside of Twitter, which is just, like a human experiment of insanity, right? Who would have cared? Nobody's going to be sitting there frothing at the badge. Jude Bellingham's like the nicest guy of all time. He's so unbelievably well-spoken. I feel like he's an industry plant. Like, would you actually care if he walked across this badge right now? If he walked straight across this badge while listening to Celine Dion just to go walk, like nobody, how I know nobody cares? Watch what happens after he swerves this badge, right? What else is he walking on? He steps directly on the Champions League logo. Is he disrespecting the Champions League? Are you watching that going, oh my goodness me. He doesn't even care about the Champions League. Oh, clutch my pearl. Like, you're clutching your pearls because he stepped on the Champions League logo. What about this? He stepped on the, sorry. I lost it. What else does he step on? The road to London 24. Yeah, that's the other part of the Champions League logo. He's now stepped on that. There's another Manchester City logo at the end of the fucking walkway, man. But does he step on that one? I don't know. The footage cuts off. Maybe it's edited to try and make the point that Jude's nice, but then he jumped up and down and stomped on the other Manchester City logo 4 times. I mean, this is a black and white Manchester City logo. That logo over there, that's the real deal. That's the real deal logo. So if he steps on that one and not the first one, then maybe he just didn't notice. Maybe he just saw something interesting in the mirror on the side and wanted to swerve around. I don't know. But he's not disrespecting the Champions League here. If he walks directly out the tunnel, he's not disrespecting anyone. And the funny thing is, Jude Bellingham if you gave him a beer and asked, I mean, if psychos that are this athletic ever actually drink a beer, right? If you gave him a beer and you were like, hey, if somebody stepped on the Real Madrid logo while just walking like a normal human being, right? Because the logo was on the ground, not raised, not fenced off, literally on the rug on the walkout, and somebody, no, nobody cares. I refuse to believe there are people on, I know, right, there are. I know there are, but I refuse to believe they're actually real. People on earth that would be offended by that happening. And Jude Bellingham would obviously, I would assume, admit the same thing, right? Or at least a lot of players would admit the same thing. Maybe Jude's in that select camp where he would feel that's incredibly disrespectful. But the point I'm trying to make is that players doing this, I mean, it's not like you don't see, like, imagine where the cameraman is here. Somebody is just standing there with a phone pointed at Jude Bellingham. He, being, by all indication, very smart and very well media trained, sees that camera and he's dropping that down. He knows that if he just walks around the logo, he's going to end up in one of those like respectful football comps. This is great PR for Jude Bellingham. I mean, there's 6.8 million views of this with that title. And this is not the only tweet that highlighted the fact that, you know, for all I know, this could be Jude Bellingham's manager with the phone. Like, if you really want to put the tinfoil hat on, but if I was the manager of Jude Bellingham, right, and we're building this wholesome, clean-cut guy vibe that is Jude Bellingham's brand, why not be standing in the tunnel and be like, hey, Jude, walk around the logo? Right? Like, that's all you have to do is just, have a couple accounts post it. You just DM them and be like, hey, I got this video of Jude Bellingham now walking on the logo. It's exclusive for you if you want it. Boom. Bingo, bango, bongo. Great engagement for the Twitter account. Great PR for Jude Bellingham. But they're doing this on purpose because they know it's going to get, great impressions, great clicks, and people are just going to be watching it thinking about how much Jude's a great guy. And I do think Jude's a great guy, but I just think this whole thing is stupid. There's like this giant media machine right around soccer and football about this is respectful, this is disrespectful. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I don't know if you guys saw the Bastian Schweinsteiger interview. He was talking to Gary Neville, and he's talking about how Jose Mourinho locked him out of the dressing room. That stuff doesn't come out for 10, 15 years. Players and coaches are doing things that we won't understand, like if they're celebrating against their old team or not, right? Like, or they end up in the most disrespectful or most respectful comp. There are a lot of reasons for that. Like, I don't know, maybe they made you train with the U16s or whatever that we just don't know about, right? I'm not attached to the hip with Jude Bellingham all the time to understand what's actually going through his mind when he does or doesn't do certain things. Right. And because of that, it's impossible to understand whether they're actually being respectful or disrespectful in a lot of those moments that end up in those comps. Like, your manager can get to you and say, don't celebrate against your old team. But if everybody at your old team was just a giant dick to you, celebrate against them. Cool. But then everybody's going to get mad at that. then all the fans are going to get mad at that person and whatever. It's an era where footballers and players are brands. This is happening in every sport. But I needed to talk about this one because I'm just getting a little tired of this one. It's on the ground, right? There's other ones like the whole celebrating against your own team tangent that I was just going on. That's a much more complex issue. This to me is simple. This part of the brand building of respectful footballers, and this guy is for the streets. He's for the game, right? This one just drives me crazy. It's on the ground so you can walk on it, right? I mean, it is, they put it there themselves, and I guarantee you if you stood in this hallway with a hidden camera, you'd catch all of the players coming out to check them, they would be walking on the logo because, I don't know, you're on your phone, you're listening to your music, you're looking over here, and you're like, oh no, I'm stepping on the logo. Ah, no, incinerate me, I can't handle it. Totally separate note though, Jude, looking fly. This is an excellent look, long sleeve with the collar, right? That little band on his arms matching the shoes. As somebody with absolutely no fashion sense, this guy's kind of shredding it. It's pretty cool. He is rocking the old school AirPods, though, so that's a bit of an interesting choice. Surprised we're not going with Beats, but maybe Apple got to him with the sponsorship. I don't know for sure. I do want to see the rest of this video, though, because I feel like there's definitely a non-zero chance that he steps on the Man City logo right over there, and then the whole point of this is worthless. That, or maybe I'm entirely wrong. And we should just every single team should just put logos all over the touchline so that the other team just can't step on them. They can't warm up. You know, they can't take a long wind up for a throw in or a corner because, you know, you would be stepping on the logo. That'd be really disrespectful. Genius idea.